back on Morning Line. Thanks for joining us. Our guest on this Tuesday is Davidson County Sheriff Darren Hall. It's good to have him with us. The phone lines are open, 737-7587. We've got some folks waiting to talk to you, and some lines open if you want to jump in. Questions about the jail, questions about what the sheriff's involved with the inmates. Just before we get to those, I want to let you finish your thought, and we may talk more of it throughout the show. And if you have a question about the dealing with mentally ill inmates that you're ill-equipped to really handle in a way that, you know, when they're released, they don't just come back.
Yeah, let me be, I'm on the board of the National Sheriff's Association. This is the #1 issue around the country. It's not a Nashville problem.
The mental illness, or more so than drugs?
Yes.
Drugs?
Well, it is the drugs.
Or they're crossover and they're together a lot of times.
Yeah, and drugs have been a conversation for many, many years, and don't get me wrong, we have a lot of work to do in that area, but the mentally ill problem, I mean, we deinstitutionalized the mental health hospitals in the 60s and 70s. We've just moved them to the criminal justice system. The largest mental health hospital in any city in this country right now is the jail. And it's just not the right place for society to deal with it. It's too expensive. It's also not the humane way to deal with it.
Okay, and you know how you're going to have to hit this to get the attention from people. It's not a lot of people, oh, you back me up in the traffic, to heck with you, go to jail. The average person, unfortunately, maybe without really understanding it, doesn't give a hoot. So the only way you're going to get this is to say, you know what? For every mentally ill inmate I house, you, the taxpayer, are paying, I don't know, $300 a day. Whereas if we can set up a mental health unit, you're going to be paying only $100 a day, a third of that cost. It's going to save you taxpayer dollars. It's going to make sure they don't reoffend. Now, is that true? Is there any number you can put? How much less expensive will it be if you can set up, maybe in your new jail, a new section that is to treat mental illness as opposed to incarceration? You know, how much of a savings?
Yeah, we believe, and I'm going to quote you from the rest of my days, but we believe it's about a third less expensive.
Okay, that was just off the top of my head, but possibly a third less.
Here's what we know. It's $100 a day to house a person on average. Okay, that's $100 a day. The person who's not mentally ill, this is an average $100 cost, we believe is in the $80 range. All right. Okay, and 100 averages out. We believe it's $160 to $200 range to just handle a mental health case.
Because what is the more expense there? Is it because you have to watch them closer if they're on suicide watch, or what is it?
Keep going. Medications more. The nurses' attention's more. They go through special, obviously when we're transporting them, we transport them with more staff because of the risk associated with that. I mean, you're doing everything with more supervision, and that's where all of the cost is. And so what we say is, if you put that person in a mental health unit that didn't have corrections and courts and restraints and vans and transportation, that wouldn't be a part of this person's life. This person coming off the street sign, when you brought him in, if you'd put him in let's call it a mental health unit, evaluate him, determine its anxiety, get the medication, get a release plan where he's being released into the community. Don't take him to court. Don't give him 5 days. Don't make me house him and feed him, wake him up, get him in. We're putting him in a court docket for 3 days that week. We're sending him to Middle Tennessee Mental Health. That's probably we believe $1,500 to $1,600 a day out there. It's way too much money, and then we're sending our people to supervise him as he's a criminal justice problem.
You need to sit down with the mayor and whoever else and start working with the idea of maybe integrating that into the jail.
We're doing that, and I'll tell you, we're doing that conversation now. I've been meeting with all the players, if you will. The district attorney obviously is critical here, and he is on board completely, where what we would do is bring the man down here. This will take us 2 to 3 years to implement, but bring the man down here from the sign. He comes down in a police car. When he walks up, we evaluate the two things. Is this a mental health case, and are the charges misdemeanor? If so, the DA is working with us to then basically put those charges on the shelf. Put that over here. It's not going to be prosecuted. We're not going to go through fingerprint photograph. We're going to send him in the mental health wing, and through that deal is direct mental health care, evaluation, treatment, release planning, getting ready for him to go out into the streets. The real problem here is the costs that we waste are over here in the criminal justice system because it's not a criminal justice matter. We want to roll that, save the taxpayers some money, give them quality treatment, and leave them in what is a treatment unit. Now, what we haven't said is the #1 reason a person who's mentally ill comes to our jail today, the #1 reason, is for violating a probation. So you start looking into that. Well, that's silly. Why are we doing that? Why are we putting people who are mentally ill on probation? That's very
who aren't going to be able to follow through with the guidelines at all.
Drug
tests, meetings, things like that.
You're not going to go and show, and they don't take their medication on time.
So
oftentimes.
They're out and they come right back.
So the police pull up on the scene. They're out here urinating in the park, and the police pull up because you would call them. When they pull up, the police have no discretion. There has to be an arrest. There's a warrant for you. In this new model, you would go through the treatment of mental health, and then be released. You're not going to be released on probation. that you wouldn't make. Therefore, you're not going to be rearrested on a violation of probation, and in the future, that individual would be taken somewhere other than to the jail. Right now, you have to take them to the jail because we've created this monster called probation.
All right, let's take some calls, see if some of our viewers have thoughts on that. They may have other topics, and we can talk more. But I don't see, and I think you make a great point. The key here will be how the district attorney feels. The prosecutors, now the prosecutors who want to put these people behind bars if they've done wrong are on board with this, and it saves money. Try to play devil's advocate for me. I cannot really see a reason why you wouldn't do this, especially if the prosecution is involved. And I mean, it makes sense.
Over the next year or two, we'll update you as we go, because there's a lot of work to do. But conceptually, everyone is on board: the police chief, the district attorney, and we're working through the mental health community. We're working through a lot of pieces to it.
What about victims?
Yeah, and what that and the mental health community, and I don't mean our side, but out there, that's got to be willing to help us when we release Nick Barris into the streets. We can't just open the door and push him out. We need someone to meet us at the door.
But I'm just saying, if I'm a victim by someone who's committed a crime, who happens to be out of their head, I'm going to want to make sure, I don't care so much that they're punished as much as I want to make sure that they're held accountable and that they're put in a position where they don't reoffend and hurt someone else.
Yeah, let me be the district attorney is willing to nonviolent misdemeanor offenses, so no domestics, and so, but yeah, there's a whole, but
there's a lot of like you said, urinating in the park. And why is that in the system that's costing us hundreds of dollars every day?
The guy on the sign.
It's frankly absurd, folks. And if you disagree with that, you're just wrong. Let's get back to the phone lines. In fact, we'll start things off with my friend Joe. Joe, good morning.
Good morning, Nick.
Hey, Joe, what's on your mind?
Just a couple questions, and then I'll comment on the mental health issue.
Sure.
Where are you going to move your inmates to when the construction starts on the jail? And the police department's down there, and I know they had a meeting about moving the police department out on Murfreesboro Road, the old Capital Chevrolet property. I didn't hear what actually came out of that. And if they start working on the jail and start tearing it down or whatever to fix it, the police department's going to have to be moved somewhere or another. So that's two questions there. And on the mental health issue, what type of people do you have, at the sheriff's department? You bring these people in that's got mental health problems to evaluate them, to see that, that they do have a mental health problem rather than a mental issue rather than, just a person that's just out there messing up.
Yep. All right. We need Joe as an advisor to the city. He knows the issues better than any of us. We've been working with the mayor's office. I think the mayor's office is going to decide where they want the inmates to move and where they want them to go. I've proposed several things to them, and I think the mayor's going to make that decision, and we'll decide. I suspect that'll be out in southeast Nashville where we've got beds available. There's other options of renting beds from a private company and so forth around the country. That's not a very popular thing, but we'll let the mayor decide that, and hopefully that'll be done in the next several weeks. But I suspect it'll be out in the southeast area where the beds are available. The police move, and I'm like Joe, I can't tell you a whole lot. I think the wheels are turning to move the headquarters to the Murfreesboro Road site. I think the mayor is trying to meet with the community, but there's been already plenty of work done on moving it over there. I think it's going to end up on Murfreesboro Road, and it seems like a good place for it to go, and they need to get it moved. Joe said something that's critical. It makes no sense to me, while we've been working for 6 or 8 months to plan on moving the inmates out of CJC, that the police weren't going to move. I think the mayor finally made that decision last week to move the police when we move, because you need both of those pieces of property to do what you need to do. So I think the wheels are finally turning in that area. Police would move temporarily until their headquarters is built. We would move temporarily until this was rebuilt. So a lot of work in that area. Joe's question about who is in mental health. We have a contract company providing all the health and mental health care. They're very good inside the jail. The mental health co-op, which is located here, is who actually provides the mental health care. There's an assessment. There's a psychologist, a psychiatrist there, all sorts of mental health expertise inside the jail. But they would tell you it's a mass production assembly line of things that are going on and trying to provide all the care possible while you have them there. Primarily that's medication, let's be honest. That's what they're doing, is determining your mental illness and trying to provide medication while you're with us. But you're not doing much about the problem if that's all you're able to do inside of a concrete building that's designed to house criminal behavior. It's just not very conducive for treatment.
You've laid that out. All right, let's get back. Phone lines, a couple open. Folks, if you're on hold, stay there. Let's go to Cindy. Hi, Cindy.
Good morning, Nick.
Morning,
I have a question for the sheriff.
Sure.
And I'm sure he might. This doesn't go against the sheriff's department because I got high respect. I hope he can explain to me. I've heard so many what you can do, what you can't do. Okay.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And under the Tennessee annotated law force, I can use that someone, when they break in my house, can I use lethal force when I feel scared because you kick my door in, you busted my windows or something, but you're inside my house? So I don't want to wait around for the next step. What kind of lethal force can I use?
All right, thanks for your call, Cindy.
Wow, I don't want to get into this conversation in the middle of. I would recommend, because Cindy, let me be real careful. We would not be investigating that as a sheriff's office.
Right.
We would not be enforcing that law, and so I would recommend that you contact the police department or the district attorney's office. Is really another one. You can email that question specifically how you want it answered. A lot of debate about this and around the country.
Well, now the debate. I always thought that if you are in your home, your domain. If someone breaks in to my house and I feel I'm going to shoot them, I'm going to shoot them.
Well,
I mean, if someone breaks into my house, and if I have a weapon, and I feel I'm going to be shooting them, and
that's
that
not
includes,
what you said.
I may even shoot them in the back if they're in the house. I'm just saying, who knows? If you break into my house with ill intent, you're going to get shot, and I'm not going to be prosecuted. And if I am, let's hear it from the jury, because they're not going to put me away. So my understanding was, if someone breaks in your house, you have a right to defend yourself with lethal force. Now, if I'm wrong, call me and tell me. But I just told you what I'm going to do if you break in my house. I'm going to shoot you.
What you're
what
you're saying and what the law is may not be the same thing. She's not asking what Nick would do. I mean, if she asked me what I would do, I could tell her that. But the law may be different. In the state of Kentucky years ago, you had to prove that you were that you were trying to flee your own home. Believe it or not.
Like I said, put me on the jury on that.
Right. I'm just saying,
that's a stupid law.
There's a lot of laws.
All right, we're going to take a break on that. Break into my house, you're going to get shot. All right, the numbers. And it's not me. I will call my neighbor Jimmy, who will come over and shoot him with his black powder musket.
I hear he doesn't like you a lot either, though.
He's gonna
he might shoot at the wrong thing.
Look, that's just me, and I'm a nonviolent guy. I just don't want someone breaking into my house. All right, the number is 737-7587. What would you do if someone broke into your house and you felt at risk? We'll be back. By the way, I've got a T-shirt, and it says, "I don't call 911." It's going to be me and my two friends, Smith and Wesson.
Do you sleep in that shirt?
One eye open. All right, we'll take a break. Be back with more of your calls right after this.